Okay, and just like that, we are back again. We have Terri Sullivan, the founder and CEO of AgingChoices Pro. And we're going to talk about the role of data and value-based selling. But before we do that, I'm going to give everybody a chance to get in here, have a seat, a virtual seat, go through our housekeeping items real quick. So at the bottom of your screen there, you're going to have a chat box. If you want to put in there any questions, comments, talk amongst yourselves, any technical problems that we can help you with, put them in there. And then also we're going to have a chat contest, but I'll let Steve tell you about that.
So let's ask you to put something different in your chat since we've been asking location. I just want to know what's for lunch today. So drop in what's for lunch today. Well, some of you on the East Coast, you probably already had lunch. Some people like me probably won't have lunch until we're done. So I just want to know what's lunch. It's probably gruel for me. So, but not day gruel. So, anyway, yeah, I realized I should have done that better, but I didn't. So a couple of pieces of housekeeping. First is please remember to do the speaker reviews. The UR code is up. I'll actually in the chat here when I'm done talking. Drop the link in so you can just crack. Oh man, stir-fried veggies and the navel orange. That's good. I gotta go out. I should go. I think I've still got a couple oranges on my tree. I gotta go pick those. That's a good reminder. So anyway, chat. Leave a big salad. That's terrific. Oh, all this healthy food, man. That is. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. We have the healthiest virtual conference crowd ever. Anyway, so chat. $100 gift certificate. Person who initiates the most chat conversations for today. We'll announce the winner first thing tomorrow. And your speaker review, Terri, longtime friends. I'm just really excited to participate and listen to your conversation as you teach us how to use data. And so with that, we're going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I had a Jersey Mike sub for lunch, turkey. So maybe not as healthy as the salad goer. So anyways, hello from Connecticut. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. My name is Terri Sullivan, and I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called AgingChoices Pro. And what we do is our solutions help you generate high quality prospects from your marketing channels, including your website, and help your communities generate more revenue. So today I'm really going to focus on value-based selling and data. Bottom line is we're in the post-pandemic time where the consumers are more evolved, they're more educated, they're using online more than ever. So it's really important that we start to think about value-based sales and the impact on this industry. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So does your organization have a sales model that's relevant to today's buyers, right? They're different. And does C-level understand what that model is? Down to the community-based sales professionals as well. So today's post-pandemic buyers, right? They're almost scrappy like startups. The pandemic caused them to find services and the things that they needed based on the current conditions, right? So they were very scrappy about finding information and finding things they need. So 67% of all consumers increasingly are buying online after the pandemic. Makes total sense. They needed things, they needed to find them. 67% of the buyer's journey is now done digitally. Again, makes total sense, but that is a shift. And I'm going to show you a diagram on a shift where there's more involved on the marketing side than on the sales side now. 52.6, really 50+% of all consumers are accessing your website on a mobile device, right? That's huge. So is your website mobilely responsive? You know, does it support that? Really, really big. Buyers also want to drive their own experience. They don't want to be sold. They want to be educated on your services. They're already educating themselves online. So they really need you to be more consultative and help them through that experience of understanding whether your lifestyle or your community is right for them. But at the end of the day, if you break it down to the simplicity, the consumers are looking for a product fit. Does that lifestyle work for me? Does that community work for me? What is that offering? Does it work for me? And then ultimately, can I afford it? So those are really the two things that we're looking at. Now, what happened during the pandemic was extremely interesting, that yes, your competition is the community down the street, it's home care companies, it's staying home with families, all of that good stuff. But there is a lot of options that have come to fruition to support aging, those who are aging, whether in their home or in a community. Companies like Upside Home, that's buying leftover inventory and turning them into age-friendly apartments with services. Silver Nest, roommates for older adults so they can live together and support each other. GoGo, which is a phone service to order an Uber or a Lyft, right? For those that don't use apps. Amazon, getting any product services you need. And I think you're going to see over the next years is that more and more entrepreneurs will be coming into your space, vying for these customers' attention, utilizing technology and services in order to help serve this population. So your competition is not going to grow just internally, it's going to grow externally as well, which is really interesting. So during the pandemic or post-pandemic, this whole entire time, is the industry itself has been focusing on an occupancy comeback, clearly, with a heavy focus on your digital presence, how you look on the outside because of those consumers coming in and finding you through your website, through ratings, through all of those things, generating leads, SEO, right? So big shift for the industry, lots of focus on websites, lots of focus on digital strategy. Then of course we had the employee shortage, right? So attracting and hiring talent, and then also shrinking margins. The cost of everything's rising, so everybody's cost cutting, but you're also looking at solutions that have a better ROI on those investments that are bringing you better return on what you're investing in. So there's a lot going on in the industry, right? And it makes sense. Like the evolution of the buyer has changed significantly post-pandemic, right? Before the pandemic, it was less on marketing, and maybe even before that, there was less focus on the marketing side, where the marketing really was a brochure type thing, right? Here's information on our community, let us connect you to a salesperson. Now, post-pandemic, the marketing is taking a much larger role because of the education components, the digital components, right? Consumers are smarter, they're going online, they're finding information, they're looking up what assisted living is, and they're being exposed to so much more information. So by the time they get to sales, they're already further down the buyer's journey and may even specifically know more about how they want to engage from you and what they need from you. But then steps in sales, right? I think in senior living, this isn't quite as, the stretch isn't as long on the marketing. I think because of the complexity of the sale, it's emotional, it's a lifestyle change, there's a lot of pieces to it, that the sales is bigger. But at the end of the day, that critical component, that sales professional, and I'm not going to say sales representative or sales person, sales professional, is that first touch point, that first live touch point, unless you have inside sales, that consumer is actually going to engage with. So that person is really critical and really important to your business. So Senior Living Smart, they do a lot of following from inquiry to tour, using CRMs and Google Analytics and all the things that you use. And they've determined that it takes about 22 to 28 touch points for a senior living purchase. That's a lot of touch points. A lot of those touch points are happening on the marketing side, right? Dreamscape marketing, and these folks are helping you create touch points, content, all of those things. But at the end of the day, there's still human contact, and there's still that salesperson that needs help from a skill perspective, data perspective, as well as a tool perspective to help them be more effective. So I found this graphic on HubSpot, and I found it extremely interesting. Sales models, right? I don't know if this is showing, but sales models, you have B2B and you have B2C. You would typically think that senior living is B2C, right? But the way they describe B2C is, hold on one second, is that it's most likely a low value one-time purchase, typically a short sales cycle, large volume of leads with focus on volume, and less experience, and the salespeople need less experience because it's a lower purchase risk. Couldn't be any further from the truth in senior living, right? It is closer to a B2B sale. My company is a software as a service, so it's a B2B sale. I understand that there's a committee involved in making a decision. There are multiple stakeholders. It tends to be a longer sales cycle, right? working on a smaller number of leads with more focus on being consultative. As far as the customer acquisition cost, it tends to be higher because it is a longer sales cycle. And then the sales reps need to be trained. They need to be consultative. They need to sell value. They need to have deep industry knowledge. And when I saw this graphic, I thought, oh my gosh, senior living and real estate probably leans over, doesn't really fit into either of these models. It almost leans more towards a B2B sales model, which is more consultative. So it's so important. And the opportunity here is that we can train salespeople to be more like B2B salespeople and understand the process of helping drive a consumer through their decision-making process in the kindest way, because they want to get to that decision as well. And really have some of those qualities of understanding that it is a community buy. It's not just the resident and their family. It could be someone who's selling their house, somebody that's helping them with downsizing and moving. I mean, is this ecosystem of change that's happening. It's a solution and value-based selling, right? It's a highly emotional and big lifestyle change. And salespeople should be subject matter experts. Most people don't know exactly what that community offers and what that means. So it's really, really important. So for serving today's buyers, here's a few points. You can start by asking yourself, how do I serve them? Not necessarily what can I sell them. You can simplify the way you speak about your solutions. Buyers want to understand what you do. For example, we have age-friendly communities that offer supportive services if you need them as you age, right? It's simplifying. It's a solution. It's not a feature. It's not an apartment. It's not dining services. How do we simplify our message to consumers so they understand it, they capture it, they get it? Be a subject matter expert. Would focus on solution and value, less on features. Going back to the solution. What is that going to do for that consumer? And what is it that they care about? And how do you tell that story of your solution based on what they care about, not what you want to drive them down? Be digitally opening, engaging, right? You need to be digitally open. You need to have, you're working strong and hard on your marketing, your content. You need tools that can help you engage and use technology, encourage texting and video conferencing, and really be there and available for those consumers. And then be an astute observer. Data is really key here. And I'm going to share some data with you today. I'm going to share some outside of the industry data, as I have been. I'm going to share some in-industry data, and I'm going to share some provider data as well. My Massachusetts accent slipped out there. So really, we're going to discuss value-based selling. So if anybody's ever taken my value-based selling sales seminar for our customers, you've seen this slide before. It's super meaningful. That little gray area in between what the sales professional is saying and what the prospective customer is interested in is the area that we need to focus on value-based selling. You need to understand the prospective customers why, what they're looking for, what their buying criteria is, and then you need to be able to tell a story that helps them meet that need. So that relevance is super key. So sales, I love this question too. Is it an art or a science? At the end of the day, it is an art. Some of us are born with the gift of gab or engaging, or the ability to walk into a room and really, be more outgoing. But the reality is that sales is measurable, and it can and is based on skill sets. So investing in your salespeople and helping them enrich those skill sets is really critical after your marketing department is driving as many leads and qualified leads as they can. You really need to have that salesperson set up for success on the other end. So I'm going to share a scenario with you. So we have a customer, and I'm going to go from inquiry to move-in. And then I'm going to share some post-tour sales data with you, so you can see this company, see the success, and then see actually the results from their post-tour surveys. So we have a company, this is CRM certified, confirmed statistics. They use one of our website tools called our Experience Builder or our survey solution. It's just, keep in mind, this is just one tool that they use. This provider has 20+ locations, a focus on IL, AL, memory care. The survey itself engaged 508 unique website visitors in 2022. Of those 508, 306 converted into the funnel for a 64% conversion rate. 55 of those 306 toured, and 19 of those toured twice. 25 moved in of those amount that toured. So it was an 8% inquiry to move in. The annual cost of the program for the tool and included other tools, including a post-tour survey, was $37,500. And based on an average $5,000 a month of rent and care, they saw about a 33 times return on their investment for this tool. And they also got consumer data for insights from this survey so they could know what their customers are looking for. And in the end, they still had 93 open and active leads. So what made this particular tool successful for this particular company? In the end, they did post-tour surveys. So there were over 228 surveys done. The survey was changed midway through the year, but I'm going to share these post-tour surveys, some of the questions and the results with you. So this company blew my mind. How satisfied were you with your visit? Great and informative. I mean, look at that number. Great, but I have more questions. There were some that didn't respond. Only 5 said there's room for improvement. Was your lifestyle, what was your impression of our senior living lifestyle? 77 of the 174 said better than I expected. 59 said it was what I expected. 23 said I could see myself living there. And then just a small trickle of others, the lifestyle is not right for me. Do you have a clear understanding of our pricing and what it includes? Yes, it is clear. Holy. Yes, it is clear and offers value. No, I need some more assistance to understand the pricing. Valuable data there. 19 of the people toured needed more assistance in understanding the pricing. Could you see yourself or a loved one living here? Yes, seems like a good fit. 30, this was from the second survey, which was 47 responses. It just went live recently. I'm not sure yet, or no, it's not a good fit. So the questions were changed. So, are you surveying after post-tour? In this case, this customer has it automatically triggered in Welcome Home that after they tour, they're automatically sent a thank you email with a link to this survey. And then the salesperson receives the information as well as corporate. So you can see here, clearly this is a good sales team, right? They can articulate pricing. They feel that they were very informative, and they felt like they walked away with a real good sense of what that community offered. And ultimately, they have also 93 still open active leads. So it says a lot about the sales team. Clearly, it's a good sales team. So I would pose to you, as people in the senior living industry or home care even industry, what if you invested more in your sales professionals to meet the needs of today's buyer, who is more discerning and has more information at their fingertips and doesn't want to be bullied into a sale? How can you be more effective? And in the end, of course, it's going to bring more revenue to your company. So I tried to just come up with 3 takeaways that you could all walk away from. You can't implement everything at once with sales professionals, but there are some creative ways that you can start thinking about it. Number 1, think about them as professionals. I've been in sales, I don't even want to say how long, but I always consider it a profession. I'm very proud to be in sales. I'm also an entrepreneur and a CEO and a co-founder of my company, but I've always been proud of being a sales professional. So we need to support sales professionals in being exactly that, right? Professionals. So first thing you can do is invest in your sales professionals. There are in-industry sales trainers. We know who they are. Grow Your Occupancy is one of them. Julie, she has an online self-paced startup training sales course and does in person, right? Love and Company does training. There's lots of folks that do training in the industry. But the pandemic caused a whole just rush of online training platforms that you can go in and take a course for $50 or $29. And you can take courses on selling value and value-based training and negotiation And it's not just for the professionals that are in the community, but your regionals. Your senior leadership can go in and take courses on creating pricing strategies that are based on customer value. These are easy to access. Even if once a quarter you required your sales professionals, if you joined one of these platforms, to take at least one course online, and I know there are certain CEUs within the industry as well, is that I'm just encouraging you to think outside the box. Maybe it's a quarterly book that you've read and you want to share with everyone, but really, and encouraging them to invest in themselves, because when they invest in themselves, they invest in their own personal success and they invest in your company's success as well. Give those sales professionals tools that they need to support value-based selling. Value-based selling is basically helping people overcome their objections or their misunderstanding or their understanding or their concerns, right? Or helping them through the complex process of figuring out if that move is right for them or the community is right for them. So there's lots of different tools out there right now. Pricing tools and services. I've seen calculators, things that salespeople could use to walk somebody through what their current lifestyle costs are compared to what they could be living in a senior living community, right? Sherry Biebel at CPA and the folks over at Columbia Pacific Advisors, they've launched a new company that's more of a concierge type senior living financial specialist that they're offering not only to their communities, but to outside communities. So how do you offer tools? And that's a big one, right? The pricing. How do you find out if somebody's qualified or not? So how do you help your salespeople be more focused on helping walk through the decision-making process and walking people through the sales process by offering them tools? Of course, meaningful digital content, right? Being able to educate, videos, educational supplements, guides, brochures. These are all things that will help a salesperson get through those 28 needed touch points to get to a decision, right? If you think about it that simply. Post-tour surveys, I've showed you that. How do you know how well your salespeople are doing in tours if you don't ask the customer, right? Communication templates. We've been on the other side of finding senior living for my sweetheart's father. And I was really surprised at how bad the email communication was, grammatically and just content-wise. Create communication templates on the fly so people can use them. Video and virtual meeting technologies, right? We all know these. One Day and Sales Mail, awesome. Zoom. CRMs. I learned a big lesson when I moved into owning a company and running a company. It's not really about tracking. It may be on the senior leadership side, but for salespeople, it's a tool that's made for personalization. You take good notes and you show up to a meeting and you reference a previous meeting and you are, understand the key challenges for your customers. There's no better way to do that. And then automated follow-ups, sequences. Platforms like HubSpot. HubSpot can be expensive, but there's reply.io, which is not that expensive. And you can set up sequences in it. Once a customer reaches out to you, you can deliver them great content and touch points, right? So just there's new companies coming out, there's interesting products out there, but all with thinking about how do I arm salespeople to be more effective? How do I arm them to drive them through the touch points that are needed for that customer to get to a point where they have a yes or a no, and help guide them through that sales process. Make engagement with sales easy for your consumers. Most of them have done a lot of research already. When they come to your website, in most cases, they have a feeling about what they want to know. It might be pricing. It might be more information on your community. It might be they don't know and they need a way to engage with your brand, but they don't know, they're not ready to talk to somebody or they're not ready to call you, right? Where are they in the process? And it's no mistake that these places fit on a funnel directly down. So how do you make it really easy on your website and through other landing pages and other ways to really capture that consumer, understand where they are in the process of their search, arm your salespeople with that information, and then allow them to have better meetings, better discovery with the data that you collect, and create more pull to your communities and less push. Consumers don't want to be pushed down a road. They want to be guided. They want to be, educated on your services. And last but not least, and this is just a sample navigator from one of our products and our solutions. So that's it. I just wanted to share that data and share some insights with you and some potential tools and other vendors out there. And I'm open for questions.
All right. Thank you, Terry. That was great. I'm got my notes down. Like, absolutely. I love that. Guided, not pulled. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is everybody noticing this theme? We didn't even plan it this way, that everybody in this first day is kind of the qualification, move through the funnel process. And you're getting this complete and connected data concept that I'm always talking about, and that we're always having that back end data, just collecting, because the back end informs the front end, and the front end gets better. So then the mid gets better. So then it is a complete and connected ecosystem. All of us today, we all work together on this process for you. So that's just what I want to hammer home, is that the more data you collect, the more you share, the more you arm yourself with these tools, the better your outcomes are going to become. So, oh, and I love the sales professional thing, Terry. As the marketing guy, I greatly appreciate a good sales presentation. Like, I love to be sold. Like, great people do it great and bad people do it bad. But when they do it well, I'm like, yes, here, yep, you won.
Because in the end, they just lay it out and answer your questions without you having to ask, right? It's an art, I think, too.
Well, because they're telling you the things you need to know, not the things they want you to know, right? Right. So
that's a great point.
And we work that way with our sales team. I mean, we don't expect our marketing people to market without collateral, without ammunition. Why would we expect our salespeople to wander in the woods with no guidance? Right. No, why would we expect that? Why would you expect success from that? So, so no, absolutely, I love it.
Awesome.
It's really good stuff. The other theme that I see, Dave, coming through all of these conversations is that it's our job to figure out what the customer or the prospect needs and deliver that in a way that's easiest for them. And that part and parcel of that is that we are not the solution. Not any given building is going to be the perfect solution for everybody. And that would be true even if you had, if you had a campus that had 55 plus, that had independent living, that had assisted living, memory care, and nursing care. There's going to be some times where it could be too formal, or it could be too casual. It could be too inexpensive. It could be too expensive. And so really figuring out what people's needs are. And it's what makes senior living great, is when we actually say, what's going to make our customers or our prospects' lives better. When we get that right, people will fall in love. People do fall in love with us, because I think the other thing that I see as I'm talking to families and residents is that they mostly like senior living. I'm actually got it in my head to write an article that says that our customers actually like our product better than we who are in the industry like it, which is kind of sad. But I think that too often that's true.
Interesting. I agree. I think also from give the salespeople as much data as you can too. Arm them to have better discovery. I didn't need to go down the discovery discussion today. We know in this industry that discovery is key to uncovering that why, right? And the concerns and the objectives and where they're heading. But, and also asking good open-ended questions is a skill. Not everybody does it well. And I think that there's plenty of ways to train people on how to ask really great questions, leverage data that we're already collecting in the marketing process to have better conversations, to be one step ahead of your competition, to really care about what's happening with that individual, and don't make them repeat it again.
What'd you just say?
Don't make them repeat it again.
Sorry. So I couldn't resist. Yeah, I absolutely agree. But I think listening is a really hard skill, right? As I interact with salespeople in the senior living space and in the vendor space, I hear people not doing a very, we've been taught somehow, we've learned organically that selling is all about telling, and it's really all about listening.
I heard one saying once, 2 eyes, 1 mouth used proportionally.
Yep.
Oh, I like that.
That's right.
But you know what, as a typical type A person, it is challenging. There's no lie. And there's probably people out there laughing right now because, I can be a chatter, they call me ready, not ready, aim, fire, ready, fire, aim. And it's challenging. But once you do really uncover what the decision-making criteria is, it allows you to present what you're offering in a better way, in a better light, based on what they're looking for, because you might be missing something really, really small. And we're learning that with the product, even to ask customers, what are the features you like? What do you think we're missing, right?
Mhm.
It could be something so simple that's so easy to create, but we forget to ask those questions and just ask really good questions and listen. So
Someone told me a story like that this year. They had someone in for an in-person tour, and they kept telling them they were hitting their, their talking points and telling them about what they were supposed to tell them about, but we're not hearing the person, even as they asked for different information, was just kind of defaulting back. So yeah, for sure.
clarification, always clarifying, because we do often misunderstand.
Yeah. Well, and I, you've touched on the sales thing, and I just think that I think part of the problem we face as an industry is sometimes we're not realistic about the areas that we're weak. I did a keynote several years ago. I won't even tell you it was not in California where I live, but I did it for a trade show, and I was with a work colleague at the time, and we had a little extra time. I said, well, let's just go tour a building. And so we were sitting out in the parking lot, and she said, why don't we I'll pretend that I'm your daughter and that you're the person we're looking for senior living for. And of course, I'm old enough to live in a senior living community. And so we walked in, and that's how she presented herself. And it was this lovely, lovely young woman who was a salesperson. But you know what? She never talked to me once. She didn't ask me a question. She had all the conversation with my daughter. I could have been unable to talk because she would not have known that. And it was really frightful to me. And so I think that, and I'm not saying she should have been fired, but what she did need was some training. So
Yes, there's multiple stakeholders in every decision, and
that's right. That's right.
and each one of them has their own why or what they
That's
hope
right.
from it, and you have to be able to know what that is and address it. So yeah.
And speaking of that training, as you already mentioned, Terry, Julie is kicking us off tomorrow. So
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
that's a perfect segue. So
Awesome. Very
all right.
good.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna be
Yeah.
back. Yeah, we're gonna be back in a minute with
Don't forget, rate
yep.
Terry's talk.
Yep.
Talk.ac senior living. Use the barcode.
Is it 5 or 1?
What's that?
I was doing the voice. 5 or 1.
Right. 555. Absolutely.
555.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
So come back in a minute, literally 2 minutes. We're going to have Wes Fuller, the founder and CEO of Further. We're going to talk about increasing your tours through the digital sales experience. So we will see you in a minute with Wes. All right, everybody.